Howdy, everybody. Thank you for coming in and enjoy your lunch or whatever it is you brought. I'm Wendy Nather. I have the great good fortune to have snuck in to become a Senior Cybersecurity Fellow with the Strauss Center. And that means I get to invite people to speak. And the whole point of this series is to let you learn more about what really happens in security in the real world, not what the books say, not what the classes say, not what the headlines say you should have done, not what the analysts say, but what actually happens. Like, guess what? We don't actually run our own network, so we can't put in a firewall. So things like that. And so I'm very excited to be bringing in John Skaarup to speak to you today, and he's going to be very blunt about what he has lived through. I brought John into the Texas Education Agency, and yes, it was through a Craigslist ad because I had no recruiting budget and Craigslist ads were free. So there's a long story there. Then I hired Matt Tesaro right after that, and then shenanigans ensued. And that's a whole other talk and a whole other story. So I will hand over the spotlight to John Skaarup. Thanks for coming, John.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay through this thing? They've got this set up for the recording that's happening right now. As Wendy and Matt will tell you, I do not need a microphone. If you guys read any of the profile ahead of time, originally from New York, did 20 years in the Department of Defense, particularly in the United States Army, where yes, I was in the Armor Corps. I got to drive tanks, all the rest of that stuff. The cavalry is still alive and well. Had a business card, had a mic off, everybody. Had a business card. It said, John Skaarup, Sergeant First Class, United States Armored Cavalry, raised by appointment, vehicle charge, no cost. So it was very friendly at that time. Left the United States Army and started working for the state of Texas. And something all of you, when you're much older, will realize that 16 years ago. I can't believe I've been doing this that long. Last job in the Army got me onto the cybersecurity hitch. Been doing this ever since. So I've been doing this off and on for about 20 years. Now I am the Cybersecurity Officer for Texas Department of Transportation. A little bit about TxDOT. Considered one of the big 4 agencies in the state of Texas. There are about 638,000 miles of road in the state of Texas, 11,000 miles of railroad track, 55,000 bridges, 11 deep draft ports, 2 shallow draft ports, 2 recreation ports, 300 airports, and somewhere in the vicinity of 75,000 traffic cameras. If you guys ever read the George Orwell book, 1984, Big Brother is watching. Hi, I'm your big brother. Nice to meet all of you. I've seen you before. What we're going to be talking about today is a little incident we had back in May of 2020 in TxDOT. We got hit with a ransomware incident. Congratulations, everybody is going to get hit with a ransomware incident. If you haven't already, wait, you're going to get the new improved model. It's coming soon. So we're going to talk a little bit about pickerel model, what that is, what you guys learn in school versus what actually happens on the ground, my tortured story, lessons learned, yes, how to get out of speeding tickets when you're in the middle of a ransomware incident, and did we actually do all the crap I'm going to talk about today? Yes, we did. TxDOT, all the different things I was talking about before. This is the slide I was supposed to be on when I gave you all those wonderful statistics earlier because I'm behind. If you're going to study incident response, typically you're going to hit one of 2 primary models. For those of you who have ever been into networking, you heard about the TCP/IP model versus the OSI stack. Many verbose, very passionate arguments about 2 things that are practically the exact same. Same thing with incident response. You're going to do a preparation step, identification, containment, eradication, recovery, lessons learned, or if you're in this model, you're going to combine 3 of them. And basically what this says is you're going to prepare for an incident. Are you preparing for an incident? No. What you're going to do is you're going to set up your team. You're going to have tools. You're going to be doing some monitoring to where you can detect stuff. In the identification phase, you're going to say, something is going wrong, right? Ideally, you want trained security people to do this. Networking people freak out about everything. Yeah, okay. Security people, not so much. You have one networking guy go, my server's having problems. And the security guy's gonna go, you're gonna patch shit. You're gonna have problems. So there's some differences there. Security people declare security incidents. Next, once you identify what it is, you've got to contain it, kill it, and then ultimately recover. Isn't that nice? A little bit more to it than that. Right? That's what you learn in school, and that's absolutely fine. But what they don't teach you in school is how do you do this during a pandemic? When everybody is remote and nobody's local, how do you take care of local issues? The pros and cons of pizza. Okay, you guys are in college, you only know the pros of pizza. There are cons to pizza. Trust me. How good are the decisions you make when you've been up for 72 hours with no sleep? Right? Only incident responders and World of Warcraft players know what I'm talking about. What do you do when the FBI shows up at your door because one of your executives said, I don't think my security team is doing right. Can you guys come in and help us out? And then your security officer gets surprised. Hi, I'm Officer so-and-so. By the way, the correct response is, I don't care, get the hell out of my building. They have a tendency of staying. And you don't get to control what policies your previous networking team had put in place before you got there. Oh, that's this one. Okay, so my tortured story and how we got to where we are. January 2000. A former employee of mine, one Stephen Pryor, who left where I was at a tiny organization called Texas Department of Health and Human Services, which, by the way, is the largest organization in the state, largest federally regulated non-federal agency in the United States. Which, have you guys ever heard of PCI compliance? HIPAA compliance, CJIS compliance, FERPA compliance, TDRICJKL7 compliance. Neither have I. All right, it's a CDC compliance check for when you're storing Ebola. By the way, for everybody here, the largest collection of Ebola in the world is not on the continent of Africa, it's on 52nd Street. Well, and it's controlled by state employees. Sleep tight tonight. It's in the 88th Desk Cryogenic Lab. Stephen convinces me, he goes, hey, I need you to come on over to TechDot with me. I said, why? He goes, you have 42 direct reports. I said, yes. He goes, you're working with no money. I said, yes, I'm a state agency. He goes, come on over, I'll give you unlimited funds and you'll have nobody direct report to you. I said, I'll come over this weekend. And showed up, was at TechDot. My job at the time was to fire our current security vendor, who had been doing an unsatisfactory job, hire a brand new team and get them up and operational in 3 months. I was hired on January 15th. April 1st, we were to go live. That was a hard deadline date because we were firing the other vendor. Fantastic. I decided I was going to use managed security services through BIR, AT&T team. Really good folks. January to February was hiring folks. February 15th, we start looking around. Discovered in 2 weeks that we're not in great shape. Very first thing any security person will ask, what do we have? The agency looked at me and finally said, right? When you guys get out there in the real world, you'll find that a lot. Inventories don't exist. That clashes with the very basic security tenet of you can't secure what you don't know. If you don't have inventories, are you covering everything? Correct answers in East-West, because you don't know what you have. Defenders, those protecting networks, have to be correct every single time. You can't make a mistake. Attackers have to be right. and you don't know everything you have. Makes for a challenge. Number two, ask for a networking map. Literally, that dude pulled out a napkin with a Sharpie. I said, stop. You don't have enough room on your napkin nor enough ink on your Sharpie to give me the detail I need. Long history of operational silos. By the way, in the state, we do not call them silos, we call them cylinders of excellence. Because we refine those bad boys. And lots and lots and lots and lots of technical debt. If you don't understand what I mean by technical debt, think patches that aren't in place. The fact that in 2020, using Windows XP is a really bad idea. Here, let me show you all of our boxes that are doing it. Windows NT was alive and well. Standard was Windows 2003. You know, those classics. But it is what it is. The week of March 9th, right, we are just now starting to find out all this stuff. I get pulled into a meeting and said, oh yeah, by the way, there's this thing called COVID. It's starting to go around the country. Don't worry about it. We're not going to be affected at all. That was Monday. Wednesday, it was, we might be affected. I was like, okay, might be affected. What does that mean? We're not sure yet. Thursday, I was told, hey, we may have to put 15,000 people remote for no more than 2 weeks. Okay, can we do that? Oh, you're gonna have to ask your firewall. Crap, I have firewalls. Okay, so I lost the firewall argument. I was in charge of firewalls. So firewalls contain our VPN concentrators. VPN is what people need. So I go to my main firewall guy, which I had one. And I said, my networking guys we have 10,000 licenses, we're good to go. 10,000 licenses, I'm only gonna have about 9,000 on VPN. Okay, 9,000 fits into 10,000, that's nice. I went over to my firewall guy and said, we're hosting an HA pair, which means two firewalls together, they duplicate each other, one goes down, you're still up. Okay. How many licenses do we have on each box? He goes 5,000. And my networking guy goes, yeah, 5,000 plus 5,000 is 10,000. No. We have 5,000. Teeny tiny bit of technical talk for all this. I'm using at the time Cisco 5555s, which are old protocols. I have in plastic, because the state loves doing this. I have in plastic 2 brand new Cisco 4145s, which we're driving around in a 1980 K car, and I have 2 2020 Porsches sitting in the garage. I was like, okay, where are they? They're in the Dallas district. I need to get them shipped down here. Okay, fantastic. Friday comes around on this week, and my commissioner goes, we are sending everybody 100% remote come Monday. This Monday, like 3 days from now. He goes, yeah. Like, and you want me to learn this one in the Army and in 3 different marriages. Yes, okay, yes, I can do that. So my team worked 72 straight hours to take 2 brand new 4145s, hang them off the 5555s as VPN concentrators. Don't look at me with that look of horror. I had the exact same thing. Because this is what I had to do. And come Monday, we're in the wonderful world of COVID now. I have 15,000 people remote without a hitch. I'd love to say that's nice and easy and smooth and everything else. No, I had 40 people crammed into a very tiny room at TxDOT headquarters on Monday going, oh, please God, don't fail. Please God, don't fail. By the way, did I also mention that we have $9.5 billion worth of contracts that are actively being leaded at any particular time for over 14,000 projects that are happening in the state of Texas? Lots and lots and lots of money. However, we don't take it in, we give it out. So this entire week, we are mandated to operate what's called an emergency operations center to ensure nothing goes down. At the end of this week, we're now like on March 21st. Remember what I was supposed to be doing? I'm transitioning. I'm getting rid of a team and bringing my team in. We're going to go live on April 1st. By the way, I don't have inventories. I don't have network maps. I have a long history of operational silos. I don't have, well, don't worry about it. You're not going to do that. None of that's important right now. The big thing is they're leaving, you're taking over on April 1st. April 1st until May 13th. I got to do what every brand new cybersecurity officer and information security officer gets to do for their first 6 weeks. Right, which is a lot of, oh, and we have that too. Oh, and we have that too. Oh, Telnet, yay. DB2 what? Yeah, it was a very interesting amount of time. By the way, the first golden rule of all incident response: incidents never, ever, ever happen at 9:30 in the morning on Mondays. Incidents happen at one of only 2 times: 4 p.m. on Fridays, 2 a.m. on Saturdays. They're scheduled like this. We got everybody together on a worldwide clock and said, what is the most inconvenient time to hit you? Here. Thursday. It was a Thursday. They were courteous. They backed up one day. At 4:30 in the afternoon, I had a system admin come into my office, because we're still managing an operations center, saying, my memory is filling up on my server. Remember all that stuff I don't have? I have no idea if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And basically, I gave them a very professional reaction of, I'm gonna get out of my office. 2 minutes later, one of my other sysadmins came by, and he goes, what's going on with your server? My server is all filled up. They're saying I'm getting memory full errors. He goes, yeah, I got a couple of my boxes doing that too. They're not on the same network segments. I looked up, there are now 3 incident tickets from different teams reporting they're getting memory full errors. Immediately went to my incident responders and said, check our DCs. Why am I checking domain controllers? My domain controllers are hit, I am screwed. 3 domain controllers got memory full errors. So I looked at my firewall guy and said, cut us off the internet. IP deny everything. Cut us off. By the way, where is everybody working right now? I have 15,000 people. Hello? I orphaned everybody. All right. Next rule of incident response. Everybody will say, you'll need to have a coherent communication plan. Yeah, I had a communication plan of like, ah! Nobody could talk to anybody. So we put on our first responders hats. We ran in to go ahead and save the day. Where am I at? Okay, good. TechStop was completely and totally offline. By the way, we would be offline every single moment for the next 2 months. TechStop brings in over $3.5 million a day in tolls. Forget about that. Doesn't work. Oh yeah, by the way, can you also remember what was happening about the same time? We have COVID. I'm having an incident. Whose lives matter? Oh yeah, there was some protests going on all over Austin. 4,000 people decided to climb on to I-35 at 12th Street.
Oh.
I can't stop traffic. No big deal, they'll make more, right? I can't control evacuation systems. I can't control 11 deep water ports. All traffic cameras are offline, all right? What are those poor reporters gonna do in the morning? Let's go over to Bob. Oh, there's traffic. Trust me. We stop. It's gone. 600 servers are gone immediately. 200 plus laptops are gone immediately. Not a very huge number at that point, by the way. 15,000 employees are completely and totally orphaned, kind of. Remember I said I didn't have inventories, I don't really know my systems. I don't really know all the rest of that stuff. I don't know that one of our sysadmins on his own decided to completely and totally replicate AD in the cloud in an Azure environment, which by the way, isn't now a total terrible thing because all my folks can still get the email. We did Oh, another technical term down here for what a lot of what you do in incident response, because they're being called jump through your ass happened. And we had to do a lot of interesting things right away. I have one firewall guy. Got him on the phone real quick through our alternative communication system. Said, Steve, what are you doing? He goes, apparently I get a tone in my voice when I get pretty stressed out. I said, Steve, I need you to get down to the data center right now. First 6 weeks, remember all that stuff, everything I don't have. By the way, we're gonna go remote, so my firewall guy doesn't have a badge into the building. Since he doesn't have a badge, he can't get into the building, which means he can't get into the building to get through the doors to get into the data center, where you also need the badge to swipe it to the data center. But I know networking people. Networking people are the antithesis of security people. So I got with the Skyline guy and said, hey, when you guys need to bust in, what do? He goes, oh, there's a back door we prop open all the time. I said, cool, you go down there and prop open that back door, so you got into the data center. Little card dies inside. Steve is my one firewall guy. The only access we have to the network is a local console cable into our core firewalls, because right now we've cut off everything else. Rule 2 of incident response: you are not the smartest person in the room. My next call, after I called my boss and said, by the way, I'm going to ruin your life right now, this is what I did. Right? And then he got a hold of his boss, who got a hold of his boss. We got to get a hold of the state of Texas. There are numerous other things. Can I spread to other agencies in the data center? No clue. Have no idea what I'm dealing with yet. Third call was to my boss's boss, because he likes it when I do this. And I said, on. Microsoft is on state of Texas retainer. So I need a Microsoft Dart team in here, like now. He goes, well, we might be able to get a hold of them in the morning. I said, your agency is completely offline until they get here. I can't tell you when I'm going to get it back up. She'll still be here within an hour. Good. They came in. We started getting connectivity back up. First thing we did was we got with Microsoft, started pumping all of our traffic up through them to use their tools, because I have nothing deployed yet. All right. By the way, remember I said I was bringing an entire team on board? Right? We fired my CSOC manager at the beginning of that week. I have a tier 3 analyst who, oh yeah, by the way, is my SIM engineer, who, oh yeah, by the way, is also my CSOC manager. All right, Brian. Brian was freaking out because, do we have logs? He goes, lots of other things there. And then my project manager is the other half of my leadership team. And he goes, hey, we have a CSOC manager for you. Great. At this point, we're about 5 days into this. I've slept maybe 3 hours. And it was great. They said, yeah, we were going to hire him on the GRC side, which is the policy training and awareness side. That's very important. Said, but we decided not to hire him because he wasn't good enough. But you want to bring him in as my technical lead during the middle of the largest ransomware incident. Tell me more about him. Well, he's abusive and offensive. That doesn't bother me. And he may not be strong on the technical side. So, okay, he wasn't good enough for GRC. He's not strong on the technical side. He's abusive. And tell me the good things. Those are the good things. He comes in, and I found out that when you're talking to people, you get things filtered through their points of view. He wound up being one of the best CSOC managers I could possibly hope for. Because the very first thing he said on the first meeting, and they said, we're gonna do this and do that. He goes, well, that's pretty stupid. What do you say you do this and this and this? And you get our security tools loaded and you validate that we can see it before you bring it back up on the network. I said, that's my guy. He's right in the back of the room right now with a hat on. Grizzly atmosphere. That's out of my pocket. Lessons learned through all of this stuff that we had to do, including a crash upgrade of our core firewalls that my vendor promised we'd get done in 8 hours and it took 72. Number one, don't panic. If all of a sudden all your screens are flashing with gigantic skulls and crossbones, hey, pirates. The big thing is don't panic. You're a first responder, right? If you get into a traffic accident, all right, and you've been thrown outside your vehicle, the first thing you don't want your incident responder to do is run up, go, oh, damn, you're messed up. You need those Nikes? They look like they'll fit me. It doesn't help you very much. Don't panic, all right? You're the professional in the room. Keep your head, because if you're panicking, you're not thinking. If you're not thinking, you can't come up with solutions. If you don't have solutions, you can't fix your problem. Next, you can tell if you're going to have something that's a 10-minute thing, or if you've had to shut down your entire agency because you've been hit with ransomware, it may last in a couple extra hours. Right? Have a 24-hour plan. Having 6 people and no 24-hour plan leads to 36 hours in, you have 6 burnt out people and a case of, oh crap. Right? Who is going to take over? That you trust, that you're going to give authority to make decisions in your stead so things can continue moving forward. If you don't give somebody full authority and you don't give them decision-making capabilities, what you've done is you've hired a bunch of 12-hour babysitters while you get some sleep until you come back to make decisions. That's a fail, right? Have 2 teams that can move. By the way, when you do this and you cut into shifts, make your boss follow it. Right? You need to make your boss follow this. I don't care if you disabled his account, which I did. All right? Because stupid people, tired people are stupid people, and stupid people make really, really, really damn bad decisions. Right? When you're doing this, single task them. You get one thing to do. This is your thing. Do not give them 2 things. 2 is bad. 1 is good. 2 is bad. I need you to do jumping jacks and pick up M&Ms. It's like, okay, I'm supposed to pick up jacks and jump on M's. Gotcha. And they run off. It can be 2 of the simplest things in the world. If you give them 2, they will conflate them and they will break both. Give them 1 thing to do. And then when they come back, give me the water bottle. You pat them on the head, and then you give them another single task. Right? Tired people are stupid people. Stupid people you don't need on your network. Right? On the technically correct side is ensure you're managing stress and fatigue on your teams, and ensure you're providing 24-hour coverage to go ahead and ensure continuity of operations. Stop it. Get your people rest. If they're tired, they're stupid. 1 task only. Next, incident response roles. Sesame seeds are optional, right? When you're practicing this and you're doing incident response, what is your role? Gentleman in the red shirt, what's your name? During incident response, your entire job is yours to be described at every single meeting. Whenever we come in, you're taking timelines and notes. Timestamp every 5 minutes, right? Has anybody here ever used a really complex program called Notepad? One of the best hacker tools in the world. Right? Hit the F5 key. It'll immediately put a timestamp in there for you. All right. If you do it a lot, you can catch a beat. It's really cool. All right. You can see how long it takes you. Ensure you don't want to assign Karen, this is what you do. No, for your group has this role. That's what your group is going to do. Why? Is he going to stay with us for the next 20 years? He's going to come and go. Right? Get your roles down, not necessarily the tasks. All right. Understanding your roles in incident response is absolutely huge. Right? Anybody answers this one. Who's in charge of a cybersecurity incident? Incident commander. Is that your CIO? That's a really bad idea, by the way. No, your incident commander has to have the authority to make decisions. Next, pizza. By the way, if pizza is your only meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 7 straight days, it sucks. I don't care where you're getting it from. Right? Manja? Right? Cold manja after 6 days. Remember Steve, the guy who was living in my data center? He lived in that data center for 27 days. Right? If he didn't prop open doors twice, I had to dispatch people from Pflugerville to drive to downtown Austin and go ahead and open up the door for him because he did something absolutely egregious. He went to the bathroom. The door closed behind him. Click. TechStop is now cut off from its network again. And people go, why didn't you build him an account? With what? AD's gone. AAA is gone. I have none of that. Right? What's your plan for feeding the people? Little things. They don't teach you about incident response. May 14th, 2020 to July 11th. We went back online on July 11th. TechStop was completely and totally offline and for 2 months in my environment where I had no inventories, no network map, no security tools deployed, absolutely no idea what I had. For 2 months, my agency gave 100% of its attention to information security. 600 servers were completely lost, most of them Windows NT in 2003. They were rebuilt to server 2016. And before they came back online, they had all my tools deployed. That's a win. The 200 affected laptops were actually closer to 300. Every single one of them rebuilt, redeployed with all my security tools on it. And 15,000 employees returned to the fold with a newfound respect and absolute horror of what could happen for information security. On the security side, this was a good thing. Let's see how I'm doing for time real quick. Okay. Old soldier. So I'm going to bring up Sun Tzu. All right. Sun Tzu said there are 3 rules in war. Number 1, if you don't know your enemy and you don't know yourself, I had no idea what my inventories were, no idea what my network map was, no idea what I had. I had no idea who was attacking me. Don't know yourself, don't know your enemy, you will lose every single battle. Know yourself, but don't know your enemy, you will win for every time you lose. If you know yourself and you know your enemy, in 1,000 battles, you'll never have anything to fear because you'll always win. Biggest thing, whenever you get to a new company or a new agency, what is my inventory? What do I have? What do I have? And then can I see it? Can I technically validate it? Can I alert on it? Can I take any actions against it? If there's a no somewhere in there, you have a security problem you need to take care of. Patching and all the rest of that stuff comes later. Trust me, they sell tons of gigantic jugs now. Last thing I want to leave you with, because I'm from TechStop, November 7th, in the year 2000. Does anybody know what happened on this date? I will give you a hint. This was the newspaper at the time.
Oh.
Yes, the biggest thing there was Glowing Bunny creator got to finally explain what he was doing. And yes, it was a presidential election. Yes, that's where we got to learn about hanging chads and all the rest of that stuff in Florida. However, and this directly affects every single one of you, November 7th of the year 2000 was the last time in the state of Texas someone did not die on Texas roads. Since then, every single day from November 8th of 2000 until today. At least 5 people have died on Texas roads. We lost 6,000 people in the invasion of Iraq, and people lost their ever-loving minds. In the last 20 years, we've lost over 65,000 people in Texas. That is one hell of a large collection of bodies. We've got a campaign called End the Streak. The only people who can do something about this are you guys. All right, no road rage, put your damn phone down. Pay attention to what's in front of you. Use your signals. That blinky thing is not what you turn on after you get into the left lane, and then let everybody know for the next 15 miles, time to move lane. All right. That is basically everything I want to talk to you about. This is all my contact information and all my socials. If you click on this, you can go ahead and get all of that. I recommend you click on that. Or use your phone, you can go ahead and hit it.
He's known to
And I
play
ended
pranks. by the
3
way.
minutes ahead of time.
He's known to play pranks, so be careful with that QR code.
Trust me. We now have about 10, 15 minutes left for questions. Anybody has that? Yes, young lady.
Thank you. Great, very enlivening presentation. So I'm curious just the timing of the ransomware attack. It's perfectly timed. As you say, it's sort of like the equivalent of 4 p.m. on a Friday or 2 a.m. on it's like middle of a pandemic, all these things. So is there any sense, I mean, I don't know if something is confidential and you can't talk about it, but did these attackers know of the transition that was occurring?
They didn't know of the transition, but if you're going to launch an attack on any US company, why are you going to hit them at 4 or 5, 6 o'clock on a Friday afternoon?
People aren't there.
What do people do at 3 o'clock every Friday afternoon? See ya. I'm out of here. By the way, don't call me. I'll see you guys on Monday. Peace out. Right? And then they get on the road and they don't answer their phone all day long, but the minute they hop on the road, yeah, I'm good. Everybody leaves on Friday. The vast majority of your organizations don't have 24/7 teams. Right? People leave at 4 o'clock on Friday and nobody's looking at the boxes. Right? And that will give you from 4 p.m. on Friday to 7, 8, 9, let's be realistic, 11 o'clock on Monday to go ahead and do all your nefarious actions. Nobody's paying any attention to. Right? That is the reason why we happily say that it typically happens on a Friday afternoon. I was attacking for many other organizations as targeted opportunity. Whenever you can manage to make it work. In this particular case, every security expert in the room right now is going to go, it wasn't us. We had a dirty vendor who we allowed complete total access into our hardware systems. Because they can be trusted, because they got a logo, right? Sir?
Yeah, that was actually part of it. Can you speak on the attribution at all in terms of, was it state actor, non-state actor?
I'm trying to remember what the FBI told me about, but I can't say that. It was a stupid actor. What saved our butts was the fact that it was a type of ransomware that needed direct command and control action to activate it, and it only sat physical memory. Once I discovered that, it's really easy to get rid of it. You reboot the box. Not patient zero. You want that. Also, the La Quinta Hotel downtown with a whole series of cables and a crap ton of USB drives, right, was incident response center for all my forensics team. I didn't have a location for them. And when they flew into Austin, they said, "We're here. How do we get into your buildings?" You can't get into our building. Sorry. We're not there anyway. Why did you fly in? So I was going to send everything to you. There's nothing you can do locally that you can't do remotely. Like, we're all cut off from the world. Let's see, what else can I tell you about that? Recovery took a very long time. What do you recover first? You look at your priority list of your important systems and you bring up your important systems first, right? Because somebody maintains that list, right? Sure they do. If it hadn't gone down, what do you think I think the most important system we have is? I've argued this since I worked for her. By the way, I had a sign on. Email. I don't care what your business is, if you can't talk to each other, you're screwed. Right? Fortunately, email didn't go down because I had a sysadmin do something he wasn't supposed to do that we took advantage of. Is Google good or bad? The correct answer is yes. All right. If it's a mistake, but it works in your favor at that point in time, it's not a mistake. Any other questions?
I would add maintenance to that too, prevention.
Hush, you don't get to talk. Yes, ma'am.
So as budding policymakers, what would you tell these folks that they need to know when they are thinking about making cybersecurity policy for, not just for the private sector, but for the public sector, and not just for the big federal agencies, but also for, state and local?
That's called a loaded question.
Yes, it is.
Okay, let me speak specifically to the topic at hand and talk about incident response. Okay, who thinks, by a show of hands, who thinks it's a good idea to have security tools on your boxes? Nobody? That's horrible. Oh, I'm sorry to get you. Yes. Okay, there you go. How are you going to enforce that? Have a policy for your server builds that say before you go into production, these are the tools you're going to have, which means now you're going to torture your poor cybersecurity team because they have to keep an updated list of what their tools are and current versions, because outdated security tools are as bad as outdated anything else. Have a policy that states for these various different server types, for these various different platform types, for these various different mobile types, for these various different cloud areas, these are the minimum security tools that you'll have employed. All right. I also used one of the worst words in cybersecurity, minimum. If you set a minimum standard, congratulations, you just set a ceiling. That's all I ever have to do. So in your policy, you state these are the tools you will have employed. It will be validated, they will be communicating, and your cybersecurity operations team will validate that they're talking before data can be put on the box and it's put into production. Because trust me, the folks who make really, really, really good design and do really, really good deployments are methodical and slow. So if you see your server build team building VMs like this, red flag, it's bad. All automation has done for us in 2022 has made the ability to deploy mistakes faster. You can really jack stuff up nowadays. You could before, but now, turbocharged. Somebody name me a company. Coca-Cola is one. Give me another one.
AT&T.
AT&T. Look at the clothes you're wearing. You tell me the company.
Disney.
Disney.
Nike.
Nike. Honda. One more. Pizza Hut. How about that? Which one of those security companies? None of them. Chances are the company you're going to be working at and doing security for isn't a security company either. What's your business? My business is moving people from point A to point B. I do not work for a security company. Keep in mind what your business is. Keep your focus on your business. Who's going to do your security? A vendor, a machine? I don't care about vendors. I don't care about machines. I don't care about tools. People. If your security awareness and training program sucks, just cut off all those other additional words. Your security sucks. Right? Train your people. Right? Make their lives easier with security tools. Don't make it more difficult. Right? Passwords are the big thing there. Who, remember passwords? A long time ago, passwords were 4 digits, then they were 6, then they were 8, then they were 8 with an upper character and a lower character, then they were 6 with upper character, lower character, special character, number, blood of your firstborn male child, a rare dragon, and a unicorn horn. Right? Back in, I want to say it was 2007, I made an agreement with my ISO at the time. I won't tell you who. I get users to use a 22 character password on their laptops. Without a doubt. If you agree that there's no 5-time lockout, the password never expires. She said, deal. I gave a class. It's like my mom was an Elvis fan. When I say my mom was an Elvis fan, I mean my mom was like, I like Elvis Presley. No, I mean my mom had the 5x7 photo in the ever-glowing frame. It's her favorite song was Blue Suede Shoes. I didn't have a heart to tell her that it wasn't Elvis song. First line, well, it's one for the money. 27 characters. She will never forget it. Right? Length is the big thing there. Wendy, I've beaten your question to death.
Well,
Now-
you actually didn't really answer. I was thinking in terms of people who are going to like recommend legislation or other types of cybersecurity policy that is supposed to help,
Policy on side.
supposed to help all of us. What can we reasonably ask for? You know, like, can they mandate a patch level across all federal agencies? And they-
Issues with that when you mandate, who thinks mandating patch levels is a good idea? That you have to keep all your systems patched and up to date. By doing so, what are your unintended consequences? Legislation is something that is very tricky to play with because now you're making law. All right, if you mandate that you have to be patched to a certain level or that you have to have your OS systems current, you're also mandating your applications. Right? We half the ATMs worldwide run Windows 95. Why? Because it works. Right? The Orly Airport in France, which used to be the largest airport in Paris until Charles de Gaulle opened up, got shut down because their system failed. It was running Windows 3.1. That was their air traffic control system. They were paying somebody $420,000 a year to maintain it. All because he had the original boot disk. Or the floppies. What was going on there? One of the things the Texas legislature has been doing lately that has made my life a living hell is they're taking NIST language and codifying it. Right? NIST 853-4 language is still a Texas state law. I can't upgrade and follow Rev 5 because I'm violating Texas state law. Laws should provide frameworks. And all your additional rules will highlight how you're going to go ahead and do that frameworks. So when it gets into legislation, I get very twitchy about what we're going to have a legislator do. By the way, legislators don't write bills. All right. An entire team of monkeys behind them write bills and say, here, put your name on this. Okay. And then they get it up through legislation. That's not going to be popular with anybody on my agency. Let's see. Some sort of minimum qualifications to do cybersecurity, I think is a good idea. Not merely a role. In the state of Texas, to be an information security officer, it is a role. It is not a position. So if you have 10 people working for your agency, there are lots of agencies that only have 10 people. And I say somebody has to be your information security officer, they're going to pick one of those 10 people and say, oh yeah, by the way, you're also the information security officer now, on top of everything else you're doing. How much good attention is going to be put into security? If it is truly important, I think it should be mandated that that position exists. State of Texas, has somewhere in the vicinity of about 275,000 to 300,000 employees. We have 179 separate agencies, with 179 separate networks, with 179 separate ways of doing things, with 179 separate identity and access management systems. Why? I think there are better ways of doing things there. There's a lot of federation that can happen. Small businesses, because that's what you're getting into. Small businesses, towns, local municipalities are all now covered under an agency called DIR, which is the Department of Information Resources in the state of Texas, to assist them with their cybersecurity. There is a volunteer incident response team now that anybody can go ahead and join it to assist smaller agencies or local municipalities with their incident response. It's not a bad idea. I don't want to administer it, nor do I want to run that. It's the two-edged sword. If you start to make minimum security standards that have to be followed, are you also creating absolutely maximum security standards that somebody who sends you with money will only pay for? So it's a double-edged sword there. Yes.
Would the best solution to what you're talking about be ensuring, like, instead of codifying this stuff into law, would it be ensuring that each of these agencies or the state of Texas is funding information security people? Is it like a funding issue, or is it?
I'm all for it. You giving me more money. Sure. I don't have to give to anybody else. No. Again, when you're talking about legislation, what's your unintended consequence? All right, if you say a certain amount of money has to go in cybersecurity, what does that mean? Is that a dollar figure? Is that a percentage? All right, and is that going to underfund me or overfund me? And then if I get that, what are my reporting requirements back to you? Right, if you're giving me additional money, does that mean I'm now under your thumb and you get full audit rights into everything I do? It's the state of Texas, by the way, you have full audit rights anyway. But for small companies, right, if your company only has a very small finance cap, and you have razor thin margins or negative margins for your first few years, all right, mandating that they have a specific amount of spend in the security is considered anti-business. So it's, the problem is that the questions are easy, the answers are incredibly complex. And I am not a policy writer anymore. I'm an incident responder. I get to feed pizza. Any other questions? Because we are, hold on, I think we have a few more minutes left. At 4 minutes. I'm on schedule. If there are no others, I recommend you click back to your article. Yes, up here in the corner.
What do you do if you're the IT person and you see you're entering a new organization and you see that they have all of these legacy systems and patches that aren't implemented? How do you justify all of the money that it takes to redo everything and also possibly shut down the organization to implement all of those things when they're like, well, we have to keep doing our work. It's really necessary. And also it's too expensive. And also those new patches might not work. Like, you get some ransom.
No, please, you don't, because you just described every single company I've ever worked for. Because it's all like that. What is the return on investment for security? If I was to speak very honestly, what I could do is, Mr. Tesoro, invest in me, give me a certain number and percentage of all your profits. I'll invest, I'll go ahead and I'll put it into all of our systems. I'll make sure everything's patched. I'll do everything. I'll go ahead and train all your people. I'll do everything. And if I do everything 100%, nothing will happen. There's zero return on investment, right? So it gets very difficult. What I did when I was first speaking to them, way back when we first started talking, I said, I'm going to need about I did the math, about $17 million to secure your company. And they went, no, we can't afford that. They afforded $36.5 million for a 2-month shutdown in a cybersecurity incident. Because they didn't have a choice. They found that money. And that's exactly what it smelled like.
Turn the camera off.
What is it worth to you? If you can't, as a cybersecurity officer, paint a realistic picture about the threat and the risk that they're presenting to their organization, right? That's the main challenge that all of us have, right? Final lesson with all of this. It's been 2 years. I shut down the agency for 2 months. Yes, we spent $36 million. This last legislative cycle, I got 72% of the Texas state budget for my security program. I still have systems that are using technology that are older than everybody in this class, with username and passwords of that and haven't exist in my organization. Right? If I tell people to correct it, the last person in the world they want to hear about is me. They got force-fed me for several months. It's called security fatigue. Nobody wants to talk to you anymore. Right? My server build process is currently breaking. And I'm doing everything I can to prevent us from getting back into that same cycle we were before. Right? The truth is, and this is a very hard truth to swallow, until it happens to you, nobody cares. Right? It's a very tough pill to swallow, but it's the truth. Right? 65,000 people dying on Texas roads have since 2020. A good portion of you will walk out of this room, say, get in your car, and it won't happen to me. Significant number of companies that sit there and go, oh, they got popped. Sucks for them, won't happen to us. That's why a lot of applications are way out of date. That's the reason why a lot of browsers are way out of date. That's why people are still using Hewlett-Packard computers. I didn't say that. It was all right, that's why Matt is still very heavily employed and is fighting a good fight on the application side. But that's it. You have to paint for every company you work for. You have to actually understand the business. The business is the driver. What is the business? In order for us to continue doing our business, not here's the money you have to invest in me, here's all the things you have to do. Because if you give somebody a list like that, you're going to get a lot of resistance. However, it's what is your first step? If you have no idea where to go, no idea what to do, no funding, no anything else, how are you going to take that first step? Find something. Here's something I can do for you to make your life easier. Passwords. Let's get rid of all of our passwords. Let's go along passphrases. Zero money. Your users will love you. All right. I was about to say, if you have an executive says, I'm going to use my personal phone, I'm not going to open up that can. Forget it. But that's what I have. Thank you very much.